So hello everybody, we are solving JEE Advanced Paper 2020. So we are beginning with paper 1. In this paper there are 6 single correct type problem followed by 6 more than one correct type problem and then 6 integer type. So we are beginning with solving the single correct type problem. So we are dealing with the first one. A football of radius r is kept on a hole of radius small r such that the capital R is greater than small r, made on a plank kept horizontally. One end of the plank is now lifted so that it gets tilted, making an angle theta from the horizontal as shown in the figure given below. The maximum value of theta so that the football does not start rolling down the plank satisfies which of the following equations? So if we consider this problem, so if I draw the football just when the rolling is about to begin, so the weight of the football is acting in the downward direction, which is equal to mg, and if I draw the plank at this instant, so the plank is going to be in this position, that is at this point. If I name this as A and B, so all the forces is going to be balanced by the point A, that is the normal reaction force, and the frictional force will be provided by point A when the rolling is about to begin, because the ball will be losing contact with the point B. So if it is so, then I have drawn it in this way that we can complete this triangle in this way, such that if this angle is theta, this angle is also equal to theta, and this one is 90 minus theta. And if I drop a perpendicular over here, then I can magnify this triangle and redraw this in this fashion. So now we can magnify this small triangle and I can draw it in this way, that this angle is theta, this one is small r, and this one is the radius of the football. So I can say that sine theta is equal to perpendicular by hypotenuse, or small r by capital R. So over here we go with the problem option A. So for the first problem we are going with option A. So it is important that you understand this basic concept, that if the ball is about to tip, so just at that time the ball will be losing contact with B, and A will be responsible for balancing the weight of the object or for providing the frictional force. So everything will be done by A, and hence we have drawn this diagram in this fashion, and we have acquired the answer sine theta equal to r by r. Let us move to the next problem. A light disc made of aluminium, a non-magnetic material, is kept horizontally and is free to rotate about its axis as shown in the figure. A strong magnet is held vertically at a point above the disc, away from its axis. On revolving the magnet about the axis of the disc will, so we have to identify what is going to be the motion of the disc with the motion of the magnet. And the problem is stating that the magnet is a strong magnet and aluminium is a non-magnetic material. So now I am just telling you a basic fact about aluminium pipes and magnets. So what we actually see is, if we drop a strong magnet down an aluminium pipe, so as the magnet moves down the pipe, it creates a small electrical current in the walls of the pipe. These electrical currents repel the magnet and cause it to fall slower. With larger pipes and magnet, the effect is more dramatic. So over here, in this problem, we are saying that as the magnet revolves about the axis of the disc, so the disc will rotate in the same direction as the direction of the magnet's motion. It will rotate in the same direction as the direction of magnet's motion. Let us move to the next problem. So in this problem it is stating a small roller of diameter 20 centimeter has an axle of diameter 10 centimeter which is shown over here in the diagram. So this one is equal to 20 centimeter, and this diameter is equivalent to 10 centimeter. It is on a horizontal floor and a meter scale is positioned horizontally on its axle with one edge of the scale on top of the axle. The scale is now pushed slowly on the axle so that it moves without slipping on the axle, and the roller starts rolling without slipping. After the roller has moved 50 centimeter, the position of the scale will look like. So this is the scale that we have, and the problem is stating that the roller has moved 50 centimeter, and we are asked to find out the position of the scale, and over here four representations are given to us. So if we begin solving this problem, I am stating it in this way, that if I redraw a diagram over here, so I will be doing the following marking, that this one is equal to 10 centimeter and the inner radius is equal to 5 centimeter, and the problem is stating that the roller has moved 50 centimeter. So if the roller has moved 50 centimeter, so I am saying that in one in one complete rotation of the roller, it covers a distance of 2 pi r, that is 2 pi into 10, and the angular displacement is 2 pi. So the angular displacement is equal to 2 pi radian in one complete rotation, that is 2 pi into 10 is equal to 2 pi of angular displacement. So if the distance traveled is equal to 50 centimeter, then we are calculating the value of angular displacement theta naught. So I can say that the angular displacement can be simply written as 50 upon 10, because 2 pi will cancel out and we get a value equal to 5 radian. Now based on this value of angular displacement, we are calculating the displacement of the point P on the axle. So this is the point P on the axle where the scale is attached. So we are discussing the motion of the P. So if I calculate the displacement of the axle point, displacement of point P, so now this time the value of radius is equal to 5 centimeter, and I can say that it is equal to r into d theta. So r into theta, that is 5, and we are getting a value that is equal to 25 centimeter. So in the linear fashion, that is it will be equal to the displacement of the scale. So scale has moved by a distance of 25 centimeter, and if scale moved by a distance of 25 centimeter, then option B representation is correct, because in this scale have moved by a distance of 25 centimeter. So scale has moved by a distance of 25 centimeter in the direction of the ruler. Let us move to the next problem. A circular coil of radius r and n turns has negligible resistance. As shown in the schematic figure, its two ends are connected to two wires and it is hanging by those wires with its plane being vertical. The wires are connected to a capacitor with charge Q through a switch. The coil is in its horizontal uniform magnetic field B naught, parallel to the plane of the coil. When the switch is closed, the capacitor gets discharged through the coil in a very short time. By the time the capacitor is discharged fully, magnitude of the angular momentum gained by the coil will be. So we are asked to calculate the magnitude of angular momentum. So I can begin in this way, that the value of torque produced can be written as m cross b, where m is magnetic moment cross the magnetic field value, that is equal to mb sine theta. In this case, sine theta is equal to sine 90, that is equal to 1. M can be written as I, current at any instant of time, number of turns N, area that is equal to pi r square into magnetic field B naught. So this is the value of torque that we write, and if I replace the torque as rate of change of angular momentum dl by dt is equal to n pi r square B naught into I, so we obtain that angular momentum can be calculated in this way. So we have I dt on this side, and if we integrate, so we get the angular momentum, so the magnitude of the angular momentum gain. So this is going to give us the change in angular momentum, and I dt can be written as the charge that is discharged, which we write as equal to q. So we get L equals n pi r square B naught into q. So over here we can say that it is matching with option B. Option B, n pi r square B naught into q. So it is correct, that is the magnitude of angular momentum change is equal to pi n q B naught r square. Let us move to the next problem. A parallel beam of light strikes a piece of transparent glass having cross section as shown in the figure given below. The correct shape of the emergent wavefront will be. So in this particular question, it is based on Hygiene's principle. So when the light will be traveling on a plane progressive wave, which is in the form of a rectangular wavefront like this, a plane wavefront like this, when it will pass through the glass, it will lag behind, whereas the portion that is in air will travel faster, then again in air will lag behind. So it will acquire the shape of wavefront as mentioned in the option A. So for question number 5, option A is correct. For question number 5, option A is correct. Let us move to the next problem. An open-ended U-tube of uniform cross-sectional area contains water, density 10 to the power 3 kg per meter cube. Initially, the water level stands at 0.29 meter from the bottom in each arm. Kerosene oil, a water immiscible liquid of density 800 kg per meter cube, is added to the left arm until its length is 0.1 meter as shown in the schematic figure below. We have to determine the ratio of H1 by H2 of the height of liquid in the two arms. So if we begin this problem, we are drawing two basic diagrams. So over here I am drawing a diagram like this, that initially the arrangement is looking like this, where the initial level of water in both the arms is equal to 0.29 meter as mentioned in the problem. Now post this condition, kerosene is poured in the left limb. So as a result of which we are drawing the final diagram like this. We are drawing the final arrangement like this. So this is the level of water. So in the right limb, the level of water will rise by the same amount it will fall in the left arm. And over here, we are filling kerosene oil. And the height of kerosene oil is mentioned in the problem as 0.1 meter. The rest of the dimension can be written as 0.29 minus x on the left limb, and on the right limb it is equal to 0.29 plus x, such that the pressure on the left hand side and the right hand side of the limb must be balanced. So P1 and P2 must be balanced. So I am writing that the pressure on the left arm is equal to the pressure on the right arm, and hence the expression can be written as density of kerosene height into G plus density of water into 0.29 minus x into G. On the right hand side there is only water, so 0.29 plus x H, density of water into G. So from here we attain the value of x as equal to 0.04 meter. So the value of x is equal to 0.04 meter. Now the problem is asking us to find out the value of h1 by h2, where this is treated as height h1 and this one is treated as height h2. So over here I can write that h1 by h2 can be written as h1 is equal to 0.29 minus x, that is 0.04, plus 0.1 upon h2, where it is equal to 0.29 plus x, which is equal to 0.04, and we attain this as equal to 0.35 divided by 0.33, that is 35 by 33. So if we come to the previous page, we say that option B is correct. 35 by 33, that is option B is correct for this particular problem. So now we are entering questions with one or more than one correct type answers. So let us begin with the problem number 7. So if we state this particular problem, it is stating a particle of mass m moves in the circular orbit with potential energy variation Fr, where F is a positive constant and R is its distance from the origin. Its energies are calculated using the Bohr model. If the radius of the particle's orbit is denoted by capital R and its speed and energy are denoted by V and E respectively, then for the nth Bohr orbit or the nth orbit, which of the following is correct? The first thing that we have to do is we have to establish a relation between R and N, and the another thing is we need to find the equation for energy. So if I start writing it out, so we can begin it in this way. So the first thing that I state over here is u is a function of r that is given to us is equal to f dot r. So over here I write that f centripetal can be written as minus du by dr, and on here we obtain minus f, that is we write mv square upon r is equal to f. So I can write that v square is equal to fr by m, and we will be using this in the problem later on. Now since it is saying that it is following Bohr model, so I can say that angular momentum is quantized, or mvr is equal to nh upon 2 pi, since it is saying that Bohr model is quantized. So if I square this expression, so on squaring we obtain m square v square r square is equal to n square h square is equal to n square h square upon 4 pi square. So from here if we put the value of v square, so we attain m square f r cube upon m is equal to n square h square upon 4 pi square. So from here we attain the equation for radius, and radius can be written as, so since it is r to the power 3, so if I arrange the terms on the other side of the expression, so we are getting it like this: n to the power 2 by 3, n to the power 2 by 3 h square upon 4 pi square mf to the power 1 by 3. So from here the idea is clear that r is proportional to n to the power of 2 by 3. So r is proportional to n to the power of 2 by 3, and since over here we are seeing that v into r must be proportional to n, so over here without making much calculation I can clearly say that v must be proportional to n to the power 1 by 3, so that on multiplication n to the power 2 by 3 and n to the power 1 by 3 will be equal to n to the power 1, which is on the right hand side. So over here this is the first thing that we have evaluated, that r is equal to, or r is proportional to n to the power 2 by 3 and v is proportional to n to the power 1 by 3. The next part which we are going to solve is for energy. So I write that the total energy is equal to the sum of potential energy and kinetic energy which is possessed by the system. The value of potential energy is equal to Fr, and kinetic energy is equal to half mv square. Or from here I can say that v square is equal to Fr by m. So if I put Fr by m, I will obtain Fr by 2, that is equal to 3 by 2 of Fr. So if I put the value of R in this expression, so I attain the value of total energy E, that is equal to 3 by 2 of F, and R can be written as n to the power 2 by 3 h square upon 4 pi square mf to the power 1 by 3. And on solving we attain E is equal to 3 by 2 n square h square f square upon 4 pi square m to the power 1 by 3. So we have these two aspects or these two options for E and R and V expression. So if we come to the previous page, we are seeing that over here it is matching with. So we have R to the power 2 by 3 and n to the power 1 by 3, R to the power 2 by 3 and n to the power 2 by 3, and the expression for energy is 3 by 2 times of this expression. So for 7 we say B and C are correct alternatives. Let us deal with the next problem. The next one is a very interesting problem. It is stating the filament of a light bulb has surface area 64 millimeter square. The filament can be considered as a black body at temperature 2500 Kelvin, emitting radiation like a point source when viewed from far. At night, the light bulb is observed from a distance of 100 meter. Assume the pupil of the eyes of the observer to be circular with radius 3 millimeter, and the Boltzmann constant, Wien's displacement constant, Planck constant, and speed of light is provided in the problem. We have to check for the power radiated by the filament, radiated power that is entering into the eye of the observer, the wavelength corresponding to the maximum intensity of light, and taking the average wavelength to be 1740 nanometer, the total number of photons that is entering per second into the eye of the observer. So if we check the following aspects, so let us begin in this way. So the problem is stating that the light bulb can be treated as a black body. So if we are treating light bulb as a black body, so I write the formula P is equal to E A sigma T to the power 4. Now the emissivity for the black body is equal to 1. The area is 64 millimeter square, which we write as 64 into 10 to the power minus 6 in meter square. The value of sigma is equal to 5.67 into 10 to the power minus 8. And the value of temperature in Kelvin is provided as 2500 to the power 4. And on solving this, we attain a value that is equal to 141.75 watt. 141.75 watt. So for this, we are not finding the first option is correct. So the first one is incorrect. Now we are talking about the radiated power that is entering into the eye of the observer. So for this one, we are solving it in this way, that we are considering that this is the light source, and the power from this light source is radiated in all the directions in a sphere, and the observer with a pupil is over here with a small patch of area pi r square, where small r is the radius of the pupil that we are taking, and capital R is the radius in which the light is scattered all around. So over here, if I write the power perceived by the observer, the power as perceived by observer. So I'm saying that this entire power is radiated in this bigger area, that is equal to 4 pi r square, and that perceived by the pupil is equal to pi small r square. So if we solve this simple expression, so we attain the value that is equal to P is calculated as 141.75 upon capital R, that is 4 into 100 square. So it will be written as 10 to the power 4 into small r, that is 3 millimeter, that is provided to us. So 3 by 1000 in meter square. And on solving we are attaining a value that is equal to 3.189 into 10 to the power of minus 8 watt. So if we look at the previous page, so we are finding that this expression is matching with the option provided. So it is between the range 3.15 10 to the power minus 8 to 3.25. So option B is correct for this particular part. Now we are checking the maximum wavelength, the wavelength corresponding to the maximum intensity of light. So if we calculate this, so we are going from Wien's law. From Wien's displacement law, so we can state over here that the wavelength corresponding to the maximum intensity of light into T is equal to Wien's constant. And over here we can calculate it as lambda m is equal to Wien constant, that is 2.93 into 10 to the power minus 6 by 2500. So we attain a value equal to 1160 nanometer. So if we look at this option, then it is matching with the C option. So C option is correct for this particular problem. So along with B, C is also correct. Now the problem is asking us to calculate the number of photons that is entering into the eye of the observer. So if we consider that let n photons be entering into the eye of the observer, let n photons be entering per second into the eye of observer. So I can say that that is equal to 3.189 into 10 to the power minus 8 that we have already calculated over here, and it can be equated to n times of hc by lambda. So over here we are writing it as n into 6.63 10 to the power minus 34 into 3 into 10 to the power 8 upon the wavelength, that is 1740 into 10 to the power minus 9. So on solving over here we are calculating n as equal to 2.79 into 10 to the power 11 photons per second. So if we look at the previous problem, we are saying that it is again equal to this, the option is correct, that is it is within this range 2.75 10 to the power 11 to 2.85 10 to the power 11. So for problem number 8, alternative B, C and D are correct. Let us move to the next problem, problem number 9. It is based on dimensional analysis. The problem is stating sometimes it is convenient to construct a system of unit so that all quantities can be expressed in terms of only one physical quantity. In one such system, dimensions of different quantities are given in terms of x as follows. Position is represented as x to the power alpha, speed is represented as x to the power beta, acceleration is represented as x to the power p, linear momentum is expressed as x to the power q, and force is expressed as x to the power r. So we have to establish a relation between them. So over here I am beginning in a very simple way, that if I take the ratio of momentum and force, so momentum can be written as product of mass and velocity, and force can be written as product of mass and acceleration. So we get velocity upon acceleration. So velocity and acceleration, that is equal to the dimension of speed and acceleration. So I can write it as x to the power beta upon x to the power p is equal to the dimension of momentum and force. So momentum of force and x to the power q and x to the power r. So x to the power of q and x to the power of r. So from here I get x to the power of beta minus p is equal to x to the power of q minus r. So equating power, since basis is same, we get beta minus p is equal to q minus r, or I can say that p plus q minus r is equal to beta. So it is matching with option B over here. And if we do one more analysis, we will find that option A is also correct. That is the position and speed. The position and speed will be combined together to make equal to twice of beta. So position and momentum will be equal to obtain twice of beta. Let us move to the next problem. Problem number 10. A uniform electric field E vector is equal to minus 400 root 3 y cap Newton per coulomb is applied in a region. A charged particle of mass m carrying positive charge q is projected in this region with an initial speed of 2 root 10 into 10 to the power 6 meter per second. This particle is aimed to hit a target T which is 5 meter away from its entry point into the field as shown symmetrically in the figure. Take Q by M as 10 to the power 10 coulomb per kg. We have to determine the angle of projection and the time taken by the particle to hit the target at T. So in this problem, instead of G, we have acceleration in the y-axis, which is provided because of the electric field E. And if we calculate, we can write it as it is equal to QE upon mass m. Now Q by m is given to us as 10 to the power of 10 into electric field, that is 400 into root 3. So over here we attain a value that is equal to 4 root 3 into 10 to the power 12 meter per second square in the negative y-axis direction. So in the negative y-axis direction. So now my work is very simple. So we can simply put the value of Ay instead of acceleration due to gravity in the expression for range. So in the expression for range, that is u square sine 2 theta by g, I can replace g and put over here as Ay. So we can put this as Ay. Now r is equal to 5. U square from here can be taken as 2 root 10 10 to the power 6. So 2 root 10 into 10 to the power 6 sine 2 theta upon Ay, that is 4 root 3 into 10 to the power 12. So we have squaring this term. And on solving, we obtain sine 2 theta is coming out to be root 3 by 2. That is theta is equal to 60 degree. Now this one is an interesting part. So at 60 degree as well as 30 degree, the particle will hit the target because for complementary angle range is same. For complementary angles range is same. But we will have different time of flight. Now we will be solving for time of flight using the expression t is equal to 2u sine theta by g, and instead of g we will be putting as Ay, and we will be finding two times, that is 2 u can be written as 2 root 10 into 10 to the power 6. One time we will be taking sine 60 degree, that is root 3 by 2 into Ay 4 root 3 into 10 to the power 12, and in the another time we are taking it as 2u, the same expression, and this time we are taking it as sine 30 degree, that is half. So these are the two times that we are going to obtain, that is root 5 by 6 microsecond and root 5 by 2 microsecond. So if we come to this particular problem, so we are saying that over here alternative B and C are correct. B, where it is stating that the range is equal to 30 degree as well as 60 degree, and the time that is equal to 5 by root 6 microsecond to 5 by root 2 microsecond. So alternative B and C both are correct for this particular problem. Let us move to the next problem, problem number 11. Now this is a very interesting problem. Very interesting problem. So it is shown in the figure is a semicircular metallic strip that has a thickness T and resistivity rho. its inner radius is R1 and outer radius is R2. If a voltage V0 is applied between its two ends, a current I flows in it. In addition, it is observed that a transverse voltage delta V is developed between its inner and outer surfaces due to purely kinetic effect of the moving electron. We have to ignore any role of the magnetic field due to the current, and then we have to determine the value of current, the aspect whether the outer or inner surface have the higher or lower voltage, and the relation of transverse voltage, that is delta V, with the current that is flowing in this particular network. So if we consider this problem, I am first of all drawing it in a different way. So I am drawing it in this way so as to make you understand what the loop is exactly looking like. So it is having a thickness T. So in order to portray its thickness, I am drawing it in this way. So this is a three-dimensional diagram which we have drawn for this particular diagram. And this thickness is given to us as T. The inner and outer radius is R. So at a distance R from this point, that is center, I am selecting a small patch of thickness dr. So the area of this patch dA can be written as T into dr, and the current is going to pass in this particular patch from one end to the other end like this. So if we consider this problem, we are doing it in this way, that the value of resistance that is going to be offered, so now this length which it covers is equal to pi r. So from this end to this end, the length it covered is equal to pi r. So if I write the value of small resistance, so dr small resistance, so we get it as equal to rho L upon A, that is T into dr. And the potential difference that is applied is equal to V naught. So from Ohm's law, I write V naught is equal to I into R, that is rho into pi R upon T dr. So over here, I can write the expression for I as V naught T upon rho pi 1 by R with respect to dr, and the limit is from R1 to R2, and hence the value of current that we obtain is equal to V naught T upon pi rho ln of R2 by R1. So this is the value of current that we have, and this one is also going to be a very important expression. From here we will be using the value of current in a different way. We will be using this expression as well. So over here we attain the value of current that is equal to V naught T upon rho pi ln of R2 by R1, and if we look at this previous page, so we can say that alternative A is correct. Alternative A is correct. Now we need to approach for the other aspects of the problem, and to approach for the other aspects of the problem, and I am using this line, this is purely kinetic effect of the moving electron, and we have to ignore any amount of magnetic field that will be generated, so we cannot use that Hall's effect technique. That is not asked to be used. So if we do without that particular approach, so I am saying that when the current is flowing through this arrangement or this segment, then I can write that the electron flow is also taking place, and if the electron flow is taking place, then for equilibrium of electron in its path, for equilibrium of an electron, I can say that EE is equal to m v square upon r. Now this is a very interesting part. So over here what is being done is that we have equated the electric field or the electric force with mv square upon r, where the value of Vd is equal to drift velocity. And from the expression, that is I is equal to NEAV, IENEAV, so we can put the value of drift velocity, and over here we attain that EE can be written as M, Vd can be written as I square upon NEA whole square into R. So we attain an expression like this. So we are attaining an expression like this, and for I we can put the value from I over here as well, that I can be written as V naught T dr upon rho pi r. So if we put this value over here in this expression, so we will get the following equation, that the value of drift velocity for this particular area, that is area is equal to T dr. The drift velocity is replaced with V naught upon NE rho pi r, and the value for electric field that is obtained as M upon ER, and if we substitute this value we get V naught square upon N square E square rho square pi square R square. So we get this weird looking term over here for the value of electric field. But we don't have to worry about all this expression. All we need to say is E is inversely proportional to R cube, because that is what is going to matter to us. The rest of the term is more or less constant. Every other term is equal to constant, and hence I can say that E is equal to K times K by R cube. And if we use this expression, then I can write that delta V is equal to integration of E dot dr. And if we are using this expression, we say K integration of 1 by R cube dr, and over here we attain from R1 to R2, and we attain the expression as minus K by 2 1 by R2 square minus 1 by R1 square. So we get delta V in these terms, and delta V is proportional to K. K is proportional to V naught square, and V naught square will be proportional to I square. And the negative sign over here is implying that the outer surface is at the lower voltage. So all this is going to contribute for this problem. So the outer surface is at the lower voltage than the inner surface, and delta V is proportional to I square is also established. So that is why I said that it is a very interesting problem. Very interesting problem. It is going to consume a lot of your brain while you solve this. So this is a very interesting part where you need to think that since only the kinetic effect is to be considered, so we need to say that E is equal to mv square by r, and then we have used the expression of I and drift velocity to obtain an expression like this, where we say E is inversely proportional to r cube, and then we obtain an expression like this. Let us move to the next problem. As shown symmetrically in the figure, two vessels contain water solutions at temperature T of potassium permanganate of different concentrations N1 and N2 molecules per unit volume, with delta N which is equal to N1 minus N2, which is lesser than N1. When they are connected by a tube of small length L and cross sectional area S, KMnO4 starts to diffuse from the left to the right vessel through the tube. Consider the collection of molecules to behave as dilute ideal gases, and the difference in their partial pressure in the two vessels causing the diffusion. The speed v of the molecule is limited by the viscous force minus beta v on each molecule, where beta is a constant. Neglecting all terms of the order delta n square, which of the following is or are correct? Kb is regarded as the Boltzmann constant. So again a very interesting problem. So if we consider this diagram, I am just drawing this in a magnified way, where we will be considering that the pressure on this side is equal to P1 and the pressure on the other side is equal to P2. The cross sectional area is S, that is already given to us. So if I draw this vessel over here, so we can say that over here the pressure that is exerted and hence the force is equal to P1 into S, and on the other side we have P2 into S, and the force can be written as delta P into area, that is P1 minus P2 into S. Now considering ideal gas behavior, I can write that P is equal to nRT by V. So we can write it in this way: P is equal to nRT by V, and hence we can write this expression in this way, that F can be written as N1 minus N2 RT by V into S. N1 minus N2 can be written as delta N, and we can put this in terms of Boltzmann constant Kb Ts. So the value of force that we are going to obtain is equal to delta N Kb Ts. So if we look at this particular problem, where if we calculate for each molecule, the force causing the molecule to move across this is equal to delta N Kb Ts. So this alternative is absolutely correct. Now the viscous force is equal to beta V, and hence, and it is said on each molecule. So I can write over here that the viscous force, that is beta V into N1A into L, is equal to delta N KBT into A, where we have put a area as A. So we obtain that beta V N1L is equal to delta N KBT. So we have equated this force with the viscous force so that the diffusion maintains at a constant speed. So over here again we are saying that option B is matching. So the force balance implies N1 beta VL is equal to delta N KBT. The next is the total number of molecules going across the tube per second. So we are asked to calculate dN by dt. The molecule that is crossing per second is equal to dN by dt. So that is equal to cross sectional area into velocity of each molecule into n1. So we can write this as equal to S n1 delta n kt upon beta n1l. So we have equated this from the second expression, and we obtain delta n upon l kbt by beta into S. And hence I can say that this expression is also correct. The total number of molecules that is going across the tube per second is delta n by L kbt by beta into S. Now the last part is saying the rate of molecules getting transferred through the tube does not change with time. Now this is incorrect because delta n is decreasing. Delta n, that is n1 minus n2, is going to decrease. So it is decreasing. So it is not constant with time, or it does not change with time, is incorrect. So for this particular problem, alternative A, B, C are correct.